Hey, everybody, my name is Denis, and I'm here to teach you how to monetize if you're a B2B SaaS founder and you've had a hard time monetizing using a prepayment way to do it. And it's a service first approach that has worked for me and countless others. But here's an example of how I monetize my own SaaS, and we were able to get 12K for a contract, which was pretty epic and it carried us a long way. But let me ask you if this resonates with you, that right now you're building a SaaS and you're doing everything right, but it's not working the way that you thought that it was going to work in your mind. Maybe you're talking to your staff or investors trying to convince them that this is a good idea, but there's a lot of debate going on. Your positioning and what exactly you're trying to do. You might actually be in a SaaS accelerator, and you know that there's extra funding. There's funding doors that are there, but they seem to be closed because they want this financial traction. And you know that you'd love to hire some people, and there seems to be something in the way. Maybe you're losing sleep. You're feeling anxiety that your personal savings are drying up, and maybe and you talk to your friends and family, they're starting to be concerned that they're losing confidence in what you're doing, and if you're being honest, you might be losing confidence in yourself. And it's of no surprise that the way to solve all of these problems is to monetize. So I know this because I've been working for the last 15 years in SaaS. I've worked on small SaaS, big SaaS, multi-million dollar SaaS, and I've also been coaching SaaS founders from around the globe on exactly this for the past 5 years. I've had training from people like Rob Walling. It's more on the self-funded bootstrap SaaS who has Tiny Seed to help bootstrappers launch their startups, their SaaS the right way. And also been coached by Dan Martell, who is the original founder of SaaS Academy and also wrote the book on Buy Back Your Time and Software as a Science. And he focuses more on the venture-backed SaaS, so more high-end SaaS. And it's through the learning from these folks and my own experience that I've really come together to use this service first approach to building and launching SaaS that actually monetizes and gives you that confidence that you're building a business that's worth pursuing. And it really all comes down to this is you actually take that, you flip it around to be service as a software. In B2B SaaS world, when you're looking at a service first, and a lot of time it accompanies a role, somebody that's doing something in a workflow, in a business process that they need that service, they need that thing. And it can be a human doing it or it can be a software doing it, but starting from that service first, serving the people, serving that market is how you can actually really suck at sales and marketing and end up still monetizing. So I've put together this program, 8 modules that guides you through, and I've designed this program to have 2 main parts. The first one is 3 fundamental questions that I'm going to run through right now to give you a good mindset of where you are now, where you want to go, and options on building your SaaS so that it can be highly monetizable. So let's go with the first question is, are you building to monetize or building to learn, hoping to monetize? I know that this is resonating with some of you right now because I have conversations all the time with people that say, you know what? Yeah, I am building this because I've been wanting to learn this new language, use this new stack, or take advantage of a trend that's happening. For example, putting AI inside of a SaaS. How do you do that? And a lot of people want to experiment with this, but what ends up happening is you build something that might be a little bit too complex, and people know this, and it just doesn't work out for monetizing something that's a little too complex. So here's 5 ways in my experience that I've seen how different people build SaaS and how you can choose and pick your own adventure, if you will, to monetizing. The first one we talked about is when you're just building something to learn, it ends up being way too complex because we're curious and we want to go to the edges of the technologies that we're using. And it just ends up being something that's really, really hard to monetize. Kind of like fitting a square peg into a round hole. It just doesn't make sense. And it's completely okay. You can build stuff just to learn, and in fact, you should, but you can take that and make it something that you can sell. You may not be aware of this, but there's actually some marketplaces now on the internet where you can build technology, and it can just be 2 to 4 weeks. There's different patterns and routes to do this, but you take no code or any way that you can just take an idea and make it functionally usable, and then you can put that on a marketplace, and you have business founders, people, entrepreneurs that are just looking for these to be baked that they can bolt on to whatever they're doing. So this is one way to monetize small amounts. I've seen people code stuff really fast and be able to sell it for 4 figure, right? So it's just you learning, being able to sell this. So that's possible. The next level to this is when you do that, but you tack on the market validation. So this could be actually the very start of a full SaaS, where it's that MVP stage. So you have an idea, you build the technology, and you find a way to sell it. This you package together as sort of a SaaS in a box, and you can put it in the marketplace and ask for more money because you have the financial traction. So if you're a serial SaaS builder, this is a strategy that you can use. A fourth one that you may not have thought about, but a lot of my coaching clients have actually gone this route, is to build something like a sidecar SaaS. You have an existing business, consulting, or whatever the case may be, and you're building something for your existing clients. It becomes like a business asset where you have this business, you build this technology, you use it with them, but then it can be something that if you decide to sell this business, now it's worth a lot more because you've built in the SaaS component. But the other bonus is that you can do that as a line of business and later on develop this as its own SaaS. So it's kind of like a growing proving ground for a SaaS that you could launch into its own thing. So that may work for your business. And then the last one, of course, is the traditional of a full SaaS where you have co-founders, employees, you could have investors if you want to, but you're going into large markets. It could take 5 to 10 years. It's like a business marriage. So hopefully this alone gives you enough of an indicator of what you would like to do and how much time and effort you want to invest into this to monetize the SaaS. So the second question is, are you building a monetizable SaaS? Now, for those of us who are in more of the builder mentality, the tech side of things, if it's monetizable or not, it's something that we just see it in our minds, but there is an actual way that you can tell if it's going to be highly monetizable. I've put together a series of questions that I work through with my coaching clients. And what I want to do today is I've narrowed it down to 10 that you can work through to see how highly monetizable your SaaS is. So I invite you to take a screenshot of what you see now, take the time to work through them. And this is going to prove to you as a sort of a lens on where you are right now in the various components. On the bottom, there's a scoring legend. So if you're 40 points plus, high likelihood that this is going to monetize, and you should definitely move forward with this because you've got all of the ingredients, the elements to make this highly monetizable. If you're between 30 and 39, then there's some spots that are lower in score, and I would invite you to double click in those areas to see if there's a way that you can maybe look at things differently or pad up those portions that you're missing out on. If you're below 30 points, maybe you can look at pivoting, different industry, different target market, but use this as a way to just go, okay, if I'm building this forward, then how can I be sure that it's going to be easily monetizable? Because the worst part is to build something that nobody wants. So use this scale as a way to give you that early indicator. And this third question should really challenge you. It's simple when you look at it, but let me explain. Are you building for you, or are you building for them, the market, the people that you're solving this problem for? And this is such a heavy hitter because what I do as a builder is I've fallen into this vision versus validation trap. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I'm going to take some humble pie, and I'm going to give you 3 examples of either SaaS that I've built myself and fell into this trap, or part of a team where we suffered the consequences of just having our own vision and then using certain pieces of what the market wants to just realize our own vision. The first thing was I had the SaaS idea that I wanted to do, an industry that I had a lot of experience with. So I thought, you know what? Instead of just building this and hoping it monetizes, I'm going to go and ask people. I went ahead, talked to the market, and I found 2 customers who were willing to pay a monthly fee to have this. They were really excited about it. They told me all about what they wanted. I got busy building a SaaS that would cover that. But I had my own vision, and by the time that I showed them what I had built, it did cover their use case. But I had, with my own ideas, other things that needed to be put together so that it all worked so much better. So by the time I showed it to them, they had still their own list of features that they needed to be able to say, I said I was going to pay for this, but I need these other features, and too much time has gone by. They moved on to other priorities, and it wasn't a big enough, an important enough thing for them to have solved. The pain wasn't great enough, and ultimately they ended up ghosting me. So I ended up with the SaaS that I built that solved use cases, but it was really use cases in my own mind, and I couldn't sell it. So that was That was a big hit. I needed to relearn this lesson, and that's why I'm coaching this to you. So the second example is we had this SaaS that we built from the ground up. We had clients, they were happy, and we were looking to expand revenue. Investors were coaching us on how to do this. So we went ahead and we asked around what they wanted. Now, as we were doing discovery calls with these customers, one big potential client came around saying that they were really interested in what we were building. If we had this certain feature that they require for their industry at their size, then they'd be like, cool, we want this, we have these plans. So we thought, awesome, like shooting fish in a barrel. We'll just build this big feature, have them and potentially other clients like them. So bigger money, more users, that's what we want to do. So investors were excited. So I made the executive decision with the team, okay, we're going to build this feature. So this was like mobile, this was web app, this was the API. So like a big portion of resources chunk were put into that. And it took us months to code this and all the materials that would be needed. So we were excited until what happened is the CEO of that large client was changed. We ended up being strangers. There was totally a different tangent that they were on, and the feature that we were building was null and void to them. And because we had focused on a totally new kind of customer, our current customers that now had to go through extra hoops to do their same functionality because of these new features, they were sort of alienated by that, confused, and it just really made a mess of things. And it was one of those mistakes that led to us having to sunset this SaaS. So we had our own vision. We thought, yeah, let's go for a bigger market. We assumed that people would be okay because they would understand the vision that we were doing, but we were building stuff that they didn't need. And ultimately, it led to our demise. So that was another hit that we can't just be building on our own vision. We have to look at what they want, what that target market wants, and validate it with them. As a final example, so this is a large multi-million-dollar SaaS. Dominant player, so the product that we had was dominant in our market, and we figured, let's just build on that to expand. Let's do 2.0, go to a different market, because we have the experience. We know what people want, right? So we got busy, they formed a team, and I was part of that team, leading that team, and we got busy building. And the sales team went out and tried to get some sales for this 2.0 version that we had going on. As we were building it, we needed actual people that were willing to pay for this to get their feedback on what worked for them, business rules, and it was just large markets, big deals, long sales cycle. And in the end, the sales team wasn't able to pre-sell or sell any of these. In the team itself, we had a lot of disagreements because we couldn't agree on what direction to take, even the software architecture, the different components that we needed, because we wanted to serve everybody, and ultimately it was serving no one. So they ended up disbanding the team. I lost my job on this, so losing time, money, credibility in the company took a huge hit because we were riding on the vision of what we wanted to do based on what had worked in the past. So that was a big lesson, that no matter how well funded you are, you can still fail in a big way when you're chasing that vision versus the validation of the market before you're building this thing. So there's got to be a different way. So through all of this, it really taught me the value of the validation of an idea versus the vision and the grandeur that you can make it out to be. So with those 3 questions answered, it gives you the mindset, and I hope with your own SaaS, that now you have the ability to look at what you're building, know where you're at, where you're going, and things that might be in the way of you succeeding. And the next part is the 5 steps to monetizing through prepayment. So let me take you step by step on how you can do that, keeping in mind that even if you suck at sales and marketing, you can still monetize. So at first you may be thinking, hey, you need to bring people into your world with a landing page or something, but the very first step is actually going to them. Go find where people are complaining about the very thing that you're fixing right now. It can be in-person events, it can be forums online, social media. If you were a customer and you were going to complain about something, where would you go? And what I found is the first key to that success is to introduce yourself as somebody that's just helpful, that you're there to serve them, to help, so you get inside the conversation. So that's why you can see the graphic here. So you have an ongoing conversation that you just join into. Be like, cool, What are you doing? Oh, this thing. Well, here, you go away and you find a solution to what their problem is. And you say, listen, this is what's helped for me. So maybe this will work for you. So already you are serving the person where they're at without having to bring them into your world, without being salesy, without trying to do anything. Where they're at, they're complaining, they have a problem. Let's go see what existing solutions, there are in this world and be like, cool, try this out. So you're already serving them where they're at. Naturally, by the law of reciprocity, is they're going to be curious about, like, why are you helping me with this? What's in it for you? That's when you get an opportunity to mention that, hey, I'm building something and I'm actively looking to help people out. Oh, this is my website. So you build a landing page with certain words on there, and that's your first chance to test if the language works. So simple landing page with an email capture form to go, hey, if you want to know more about this, leave me your email and I'll update you as I'm working on the solution that you're working on or the SaaS that you're working on. So that's why it's kind of a door. If they decide to walk through that door because you've already helped them, they become part of this email list that everybody talks about, that as builders, we're not even sure how to start, but this is how you do it. And once they're on the email list, this is what you've probably heard of. You've been a part of it, is you get these emails on tools and cheat sheets and different things that are useful to you. And it gives you an opportunity as a SaaS builder to show this person that you know their problem intimately, the workflow that they're in, things that you know can be of use, which can lead to features that you will build into your SaaS anyways. So it's an opportunity to give them, hey, this is useful for me. This might be useful to you. Cool. You build more trust. Another way is through newsletters. So by showcasing people that are a few steps beyond where this person wants to be, you can use the newsletter to be able to give them more confidence. So through deep knowledge of their problem, their workflow, and using deep knowledge on people who are successful in the space that you're working in, you're building in that trust. So now, by the time that you are ready to show something, maybe a mock-up, Figma, whatever prototype that you've put together, you have somebody that you can say, hey, I have this mock-up, this prototype. I'd love to show it to you to get your feedback. So you've already been serving this person, giving them the experience of who you are as a builder, that they matter to you, that you're an actual human being that's looking to serve. So now you're in a perfect position to be able to show this to them. So there's a sequence in which you can ask these questions. First, you show them a mock-up of where your mind is, what the vision is of what you're looking to do. And once you have a series of yeses in these initial interviews, you package them together and they become who you're building for. The second time that you ask them for an interview, that's where you can actually show them version 1 or an MVP of what you're building. And then you can ask them the question, listen, we're looking to build this out, and we need to show proof that the market is interested in this. It will help us unlock future funding, the traction that we need to be able to hire some critical hires and move this faster. I would love your support by purchasing 3 months worth, and I'll give you a 50% discount. But if you can show me that you're interested, put your credit card down for 3 months worth of usage of this SaaS, it's going to carry me much further, be able to do this much faster. I would love for you to do a prepayment if that's cool with you. And because you've been serving them this whole time, that you're not just a cold call or a cold email, the law of reciprocity kicks in where, yeah, this is something that I need solved. This is really important. Take my money because I want this to be real. But you're approaching it not from desperation, but really because you need to show this financial traction to maybe the accelerator you're part of, or investors that are interested, or maybe even your team. But you need to show this money. And that is the critical part of this whole path. That once you get these prepayments, it doesn't mean it's enough to cover the cost of anything, but it does unlock the doors. They become sort of sponsors that by the time you launch your SaaS, it's more of a formality where you have people that you can invite to your launch and the event happens, people that have already paid for it, and they're literally waiting at your door to try this because they've been part of the building experience. So there you have it. It is that 5 steps to give you that momentum where you have people waiting at your door. They've already prepaid for this. They just want to see it in action, and they've been part of the whole experience. And what you're doing with these simple mechanics, and that's why you can put these in place. ChatGPT can help. There's all kind of people that can help you put these in place, so you can suck at sales and marketing, but still create that momentum because you're doing micro commitment stacking. It's never a sell. It's only an offer, an invite, and you're building relationship as you're going through to bigger and bigger commitments. So it's never a salesy big ask. It's really co-building. You're doing this together, offering that value, and people are encouraging you by doing the pre-sales. Another way to see it is that you're taking from the beginning, you're reducing their problem with time, with the different components you're putting in place, and you're also increasing their trust in you. You have an increasing trust in your SaaS and offering, so does your team, and any hesitation to sell this reduces in time because you've already been helping people, seeing how this is a problem worth solving. And then you have people that are interested in having this solution. So going through this path, putting the mechanism, creating that momentum is just a win-win all the way around. So there you have it. I've given you the full steps, the 3 fundamental questions, and the 5 steps to be able to monetize through prepayment by taking a service-first approach, which leads you to the results of being able to have contracts to monetize what you're building the right way that creates fans, that supports you in that pre-build. So if you like what you saw, follow me on Instagram, and this is the content that I produce. Each of these components I go into details with. This is what works and what I want to share with the world. To be the coach that I wish I had back at the beginning, it would have saved me years of effort and all kinds of money. If you're seeing this, you're getting it, but you're saying, Denis, I just don't have the time. I'm just too busy building this. I know. I've been there too. But the problem is, how many times can you go through this cycle? When you're building something, you're launching to crickets, and then you have to backfill. It just doesn't work. There's so many people that have lost tons of time. I remember speaking to this one guy in a call, and I was asking him, like, listen, I had to sunset my SaaS, all this time that we've put in. And he showed me a hard drive of a piece of software that he and his team had multi-million dollars worth of effort. And he was sitting on a hard drive gathering dust. And there's just nothing that he can do because it's too far gone now. And that's the beauty of putting these mechanics in place so that you're building product marketing alongside product development, that by the time that you're launching, you know that you're launching to people that want this. Well, and maybe you're saying, you know what, Denis, I'm just going to hire somebody to sell this when it's ready. Yeah, we've tried that before, because what happens? You build it, and then you're ready to go. You're going to hire somebody, and then they're going to say, okay, I need to know X, Y, Z, who are you selling to? And then they're going to come back to you and say, you know what, I think you made a mistake. So whether you do it ahead of time or after the fact, somebody is going to have to put in the work to get the right words, to find the right places where they are complaining right now, the competitive landscape, the features that they want versus what you believe you have to put in place. So all of this work has to be done. So you're either going to pay for it now, a small amount, or you're going to have to pay for it much later because you have so much invested that you're going to have to pay whatever price. And it may be what actually breaks the camel's back. So think wisely on deferring that to too far into the future and having to spend way more money when it's an emergency to fix that problem. So maybe now you're saying, okay, Denis, I get it. I'm not going to wait until later. I'd rather pay a small amount of money ahead of time instead of a large amount of money later. But I'm just not a sales and marketing person. How, I'm a coder or whatever it is that you do, you just don't have that sales marketing flair, you think. But what comes down to it is that you're a business owner. You're going to have to hire somebody in the future. How are you going to know that you're hiring the right person? Because they're going to be telling you all kinds of stuff. You'll be like, yeah, this is great. But how do you know unless you've actually been there and you've tried it and you see what works, what doesn't? So building in that muscle earlier is worth the investment, and it's not rocket science. There's so many people out there. There's content free online. ChatGPT is there. They can show you how to do all of this in an easy way. And what if you're saying, listen, I just don't have the money. I just got to build, and hopefully I can solve all my problems by building something forward. I would say that you'll be wasting your money because how can you risk that much? It's the highest risk that you have is to build something that nobody wants. So you see it as an insurance policy on what you're doing now. Going through that first question, are you building to learn or are you building to monetize? If you're building to monetize, you get the right people on your team doing an investment in a program like this to make sure that you can monetize as you're building. Plus, you get to build as a business owner all of the skills that you need to be able to hire in the future. So, knowing where you want to go means that you do have to make some investments ahead of time. And this to me is the one thing that I came back and coached, because I wish I had this. I would have saved years of time and money, investors' money, reduces the risk that you won't be able to monetize this. And it could be the details, that direction that can change a degree or two early on. That just means the life or death of your business when you're too far into the future. And this is something that I have to shout to the world. So, not knowing what you're building or having these hard conversations, not being able to access that future funding that you need, losing sleep, burning through your savings, how long can you take that? Or just trying to convince your family that this is a legit thing, and more so convincing yourself that this is what you should be pursuing. I mean, imagine having a great night's sleep where you wake up excited. So you're changing anxiety into excitement that what you're building actually works because people are paying money for this. Or you're having phone calls with investors or accelerators or hires, and they're asking you the question, hey, are you getting any traction? Are you monetizing? And you can say, yeah, people are paying for this, so we need to get busy building. So imagine talking to your family members and they're asking like, how is that going? You know, are you looking for work? Is there money coming in? And you can say, well, I'm building this. People are paying for it. So I'd say this is a good direction. We're going to keep moving on that. How much more confident would you be? Because you're not lying. This is something that you're building from. So imagine now talking to your team and saying, hey, listen, we've got some traction. Here's what's happening. Money's actually flowing, and people understand the power of money and that it flows. So that's where the business goes. You're unified by this financial traction. And this is all possible using this service-first approach for building and launching your SaaS to be able to monetize using prepayments. I invite you to rewatch this video, implement this. I'm available for questions any way that you'd like to reach me. Best if you follow me on Instagram, hit me up with DMs. I have content there that's going to help you. I'd love to help you monetize your SaaS to have that success and feel like you're living a life of purpose that you're called to make.